If our nation had done nothing more in its whole history than to create just two documents, its contribution to civilization would be imperishable. The first of these documents is the Declaration of Independence, and the other is that which we are here to honor tonight, and the Emancipation Proclamation. All tyrants, past, present, and future, are powerless to bear the truths in these declarations, no matter how extensive their legions, how vast their power, and how malignant their evil. The Declaration of Independence proclaimed to a world organized politically and spiritually around the concept of the inequality of man, that the dignity of human personality was inherent in man as a living being. And the Emancipation Proclamation was the offspring of the Declaration of Independence. It was a constructive use of the force of law to uproot a social order which sought to separate liberty from a segment of humanity. Our pride in our progress would be unqualified if the story ended here. But history reveals that America has been a schizophrenic personality where these two documents are concerned. On the one hand, she has proudly professed the basic principles inherent in both documents. On the other hand, she has sadly practiced the antithesis of these principles. The Negro will never cease his struggle to commemorate the Emancipation Proclamation by making his emancipation real. If enough Americans in numbers and influence join him, the nation we both labor to build may yet realize its glorious dream. That is too much greatness in our heritage to tolerate the pettiness of race hate. The Declaration of Independence and the Emancipation Proclamation deserve to live in sacred honor. Many generations of Americans suffered, bled, and died, confident that those who followed them would preserve the purity of our ideals. Negroes have declared they will die if need be for these freedoms. All Americans must enlist in a crusade, finally to make the race question an ugly relic of a dark past. On that day dawns the Emancipation Proclamation will be commemorated in luminous glory. For we are at one of history's awesome crossroads. Our technological creativity is almost boundless. We can build machines that think. We can dot the landscape with houses and superhighways teeming with cars. We can now even destroy our whole planet with the nuclear weapons we alone possess. We have dwarfed distance and placed time in change. And our guided ballistic missiles have carved highways through the stratosphere. In short, we have the capacity to rebuild our whole planet, filling it with luxury, or we are capable of destroying it totally. The shocking issue of our age is that no one can confidently say which we will do. Whether we will survive indeed depends upon whether we build moral values as fast and extensively as we construct material things. The struggle for civil rights is rooted in moral values. As we pursue our goals everywhere, everyone will benefit from the moral awakening our movement compels. We must all maintain faith in the future and believe that the American dream can and will become a reality. This is my faith. I know the dark days still lie ahead, gigantic stand before us. We will encounter new setbacks, and some will still have to suffer persecution. But Valley Forge was followed by Yorktown. The persecution of Christians in ancient Rome was efficient and thorough, and yet it resulted in total failure. That is something in this universe which justifies Carlyle in saying no lie can live forever. That is something in this universe which justifies William Cullen Bryant in saying, truth crushed to earth will rise again. And this is the faith that will carry us on. And with this faith, we will be able to adjourn the councils of despair and bring new light into the dark chambers of pessimism. And we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. This is a faith that will help us solve the problem. We have a long, long way to go before it is solved, but all of us can at least think of the fact that we have made some strides. And so I close by quoting the words of an old Negro slave preacher who didn't quite have his grammar right, but uttered words of great symbolic profundity. And they were uttered in the form of a prayer. Lord, we ain't what we ought to be. We ain't what we want to be. We ain't what we gonna be. But thank God, we ain't what we was.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. My name is Stan DeMello. I am with the Office of Field Education, and it's my privilege this morning to welcome you. It's a bit of an odd situation for us because normally Dr. Rachel Wren, Assistant Dean of Field Education, will be doing this welcome. But as you know, as some of you know at any rate, Dr. Wren has had some surgery recently and is recuperating and is not able to be with us today, but her family will be joining us and receiving the award, who she is the recipient of today. So this is what we're here today, and to honor the Martin Luther King celebration, which was normally held in January, but because of all the different changes that we've had to move this forward. We are also going to be honoring the other worthy recipients who were nominated. So it is a very good Friday in more ways than one, and we welcome you to this celebration. And soon, I want to especially thank the Dean and the Dean's team for supporting us in this effort. And it has truly become a great celebration for the school, where we get to honor all these incredible achievements and people who work so hard in trying to make it a better anti-racist world. So I want to turn this over to Kalfani, who is the chair of our committee and has led us in this great effort. Kalfani.
Well, thank you so much, Stan, and welcome everyone to this Good Friday commemoration of both the Martin Luther King legacy as well as the legacy of emancipation. Welcome to our UW School of Social Work 2022 celebration of MLK and emancipation. We are excited to bring these two notions for justice into one celebration of our colleagues' engagement of community service towards interethnic harmony. This year's commemoration, like other colleagues' service, is a crosswalk through time and through space, linking events that first seemed somewhat disparate, but with a closer look, these converge to a liberatory intention for their target population and to the benefit of all. It was Frederick Douglass posing that a nation cannot survive half slave and half free. This was proven by emancipation's protracted executive project, an executive project that began on this date in 1862 proceeded through, ironically, June 19th, 1862, with emancipation of the Northwest Territories, and then preliminary emancipation on September 22nd, 1862, which challenged the Southern states in rebellion to lay down their arms or face the experience of the enforcement of the emancipation of their enslaved chattel come the 1st of January, 1863. That prompted the very, very well-known watch night in African-American communities that we may get a chance to talk a little bit about in the recession. Again, Frederick Douglass said that a nation cannot survive half slave, half free, and it was proven by the Emancipation Proclamation's enforcement. A century later, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King offered an account of U.S. history in which the Civil War and the Civil Rights Movement were part of the same long struggle for Black equality. Indeed, the struggle for freedom proved to be the key condition by which the American Union could stay intact as, in quotes, one nation. So, the good of all was preserved after centuries of abolition's advocacy through the executive enactment, followed by the Union enforcement of emancipation. Now we're marking this sexquentennial celebration for the Emancipation Proclamation. It has been indeed 160 years in 2022. So with this commemoration, we're awarding our Mlk Service Recognition to Dr. Rachel Wren. Thusly, we're resurfacing a lesser known but noteworthy part of King's legacy. For almost 5 years, he ardently advocated for a second Emancipation Proclamation, making a 60-page leather-bound appeal, which he hand-delivered to then President Kennedy. King linked his and Kennedy's work to Lincoln's logically, allowing us to tie our King commemoration to the Emancipation Proclamation advocacy shared respectively by all three. What's more, this core work of King's found its way all the way to Seattle, Washington, which by 1963, local activists organized as the Christian Friends for Racial Equality, CFRE, they sent a signed petition favoring SCLC's project to the Kennedy administration. And this signed petition remains for your observation in the Kennedy archives to date. Attendant to his appeal, submitted 17th of May, 1962, ominously, King wrote to President Kennedy, in quote, "We know where we were 100 years ago. We know where we are today. Where will our nation be 100 years from now? We can bend its moral arc towards justice if we uproot the twisted tangle of evil statutes which unlawfully deprive Negroes, in quotes, of elementary rights, close quote, now in 2022. But 40 years left in his thought experiment then in 1962, since some of us and most of our students expect to live through the 2062 timestamp of King's projection. We're most motivated to honor our awardee and nominees today, sharing a deep concern that the quality of interethnic harmony in 2062 should be far superior to our own. It is our hope that in lifting up the emancipatory spirit embodied in the service of Dr. Wren, her dedication to the work of anti-racism will be found to have a butterfly effect to bring on the epoch summed by the words that concluded King's appeal to Kennedy. Quote, "We appeal to you because we yearn for the time when we can stand in the full sunlight of human decency and join hands with our white brethren, North and South, East and West, and sing in joyous hallelujah Sound the Lord, timbre o'er Egypt's dark sea. Jehovah hath triumphed, his people are free. Close quote. Thank you for joining us. Now, I am very fortunate to be able to move from simply voicing song to bring on the welcoming song and harmony of our own Kathy Taylor, who will offer us Lift Every Voice and Sing. Kathy, will you lead us, please?
Thank you. I'm here and my daughter Geneva is going to be joining me. So I'm asking you to sing along with us, muted, of course, but I want you to sing the lyrics as we are singing so that you can feel the importance of what the lyrics have to say. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us, facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, death in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou hast brought us far along the way. Thou who hast bright thy might, let us into the light. Keep us forever in the path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand.
true to our God, true to our native land.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Kathy and Geneva Taylor. And we're so grateful to have Kathy, of course, on our CTAP staff and a long-standing member of our committee, and even a one-time, in fact, last year's recipient of the Mlk Service Award. Next, I would like to bring on the opportunity to hear from our nominees. One of the things that we have as a rich tradition in this commemoration is, first of all, it's difficult to identify a single recipient, even for the last 22 years. So, and even longer, I suppose. But in the record that we demonstrate on our current publicity, we've got a 22-year legacy, and it's difficult to identify a single recipient. And so we had the folks on whose shoulders I stand, who came before me in stewarding this good work, came upon the idea that we would recognize not only of course, an exemplar in our awardee, but we would also affirm the service of many others embodied in our nominees. And we are fortunate to have had three of just auspicious colleagues to stand out, and we're thrilled to offer them appropriate recognition. I'd like to, as I welcome in Nicole Nicole Gunther to or move this portion of our program along, I want to also bring your attention to what may have been already dropped in the chat. And that is our order of proceedings. And I'll share a little bit more about the rich content that we encourage you to download that includes our agenda for today's program and so much more. Nicole, will you help us acknowledge our nominees?
Yes, thank you, Kafani. So the MLK Committee has the very challenging task each year of reviewing multiple nominations and selecting one award recipient. And we want to take this opportunity to recognize several of our nominees who are deeply worthy of our acknowledgement and gratitude. We want to recognize Geraldine Myers, Jen Mclaughlin, and Vanetta Barton. You three should have received flowers and packets in the mail this week, including the full nomination letters for your reference as well. And Saul Cliffosethi, Mark Bello, and I will now share some excerpts from the letters that speak to your valuable contributions. So Saul, may I pass it to you to read on Geraldine's letters? Saul here.
Could be quite awkward. I don't see him on the list.
That's okay. I'll go ahead and read Geraldine's. No problem. Or Jeremy, you were going to. Do you want to read Geraldine's?
I was the backup. Perfect. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. So our first nominee we wanted to honor today is Geraldine Myers, who serves as Assistant Director of the Child Welfare Training and Advancement Program. Geraldine's nominators spoke with great respect and enthusiasm for Geraldine, writing the following. And here's from the excerpts. Geraldine has over 25 years of experience in social and human services in various positions from the front lines, supervision, and administration. In every facet of those areas, she has demonstrated consistent passion for the advocacy for children, families, and students from Black, Indigenous, people, person of color communities experiencing injustice and marginalization. Geraldine actively uses her position and privilege as a servant leader within her community. Another excerpt reads, I have had the privilege to witness Ms. Myers' commitment to community, promoting racial equity, and her leadership as both a colleague and a student. Ms. Myers does all of this naturally and consistently as she embodies love, social justice, equity, and community. It is who she is. Another excerpt reads, Ms. Myers exemplifies how to work alongside and within a historically racist system while being wholly committed to social justice for Black, Indigenous, person of color communities, and how to be a change agent from the inside of the system. She shows unyielding commitment to the empowerment of all people, particularly Black, Indigenous, and person of color folks. Thank you, Geraldine, for your leadership within the school and in the community worthy of emulation. Nicole.
Thanks, Jeremy. So our next noteworthy nominee is Jen Mclaughlin, who serves as the Director of Social Work Admissions. A student nominated Jen and highlighted the significant contributions that her interpersonal approach and leadership has made for their experiences as a BIPOC student in the MSW program. Writing, Jen Mclaughlin goes above and beyond for me, my interests, my community, the UW community as a whole, and a multitude of affinity clubs, BIPOC activities, BIPOC funding, and BIPOC opportunities. For myself, I'm attending the school for the second time, and both times I was enrolling, Jen has been expediently helpful, genuinely kind, and very informative. Jen is in charge of the BIPOC affinity group, encouraging student-led action and volunteerism. I've been a part of these student leadership teams. The energy for activity generated in these online spaces is powerful and represents what a community can do while working in distance meetings. She gave me information for scholarships, internships, work study, GoMap, and loans. I have joined the listserv for BIPOC information dissemination, and it is dynamic and powerful. People always find it helpful and often life-changing in the ways that access to funds, information, and recognition of one's identity do. Jen, thank you for your leadership and for the impact that you made on this individual student's experience and hundreds of others, as well as your colleagues within the School of Social Work and in the community.
Our third nominee is Vanetta Barton. Vanetta manages the School of Social Work Initiative Communities in Action and has served as a longtime practicum instructor. Her nominators wrote the following. In Vanetta's social work career, she has consistently worked with broad networks of diverse groups, public and private funders, corporations, community-based organizations, and volunteers. Her ability to build teams to better serve the community has been synergistic. Through her mentoring and modeling, Vanetta has always supported, encouraged, and inspired others to develop leadership. She has been an enormous source of inspiration for organizations, teams, and students. Her titles do not begin to reflect the hundreds of community-based organizations, foundations, boards, legislatures, committees she has collaboratively impacted as a manager, organization, and program developer, and strategic planner. Vanetta spearheaded efforts to submit a $20 million proposal for Kellogg's Foundation's Racial Equity 2030 application to create paths to professional careers in community behavioral health that ultimately increases the number of Black, Indigenous, and Latinx mental health professionals. Vanetta brought her deep insights, remarkable project management skills, and commitment to science-based interventions to steer an innovative project that had measurable and enduring impact on the community. Another wrote, I admire Vanetta as a mentor that I can culturally relate to as a wiser, experienced Black colleague. Her caring patience has helped me navigate these overwhelming times. Vanetta embodies the legacy of Dr. King every day. She's incredibly thoughtful, hardworking, and a kind person committed to her own beloved community of family, friends, colleagues, and the wider BIPOC community. Thank you, Vanetta, for your work and skilled leadership that clearly has both depth and breadth.
Thank you to our readers. Thank you so very much to Jeremy Arp of the National Association of Social Workers, Washington chapter, which we will hear from during our recessional, to Mark Bello in the Office of Field Education and committee member, and to Nicole Gunther, to whom I will we will be hearing throughout the program. Let's see, I want to, at this point, as I get ready to welcome Stacy DeFree's voice to guide us in an acknowledgement in the beginnings of our acknowledgement of our awardee, I want to also bring your attention, as I shared, to the contents of the information that is available to you to download. Speaking of legacy, we not only have the good sense in the current work of this committee to follow a longstanding tradition to acknowledge our awardees, our nominees, as well as our awardee. We also have, in the last 3 years, begun the project of including and bringing to your attention, essentially recovering critical documents from the Black freedom struggle and movement. You'll recall that 3 years ago, we shared with you the training manual for the Medical Committee for Human Rights. That was what social workers and nurses and physicians, how they were oriented in preparation to support the movement. And last year, we brought to your attention, Dr. King's own words, a statement to what he termed, how he called us social scientists, and challenged social scientists in a particular way. This year, we're really excited to bring to your attention the extended document that was leather bound and prepared by 3 of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference attorneys and Dr. King himself in preparation. This was a 6-year project, 6-month project of organizing the material. And then, as we noted earlier, for almost 5 years, from 1960 to the beginnings of 1965, would King, in different speeches, reference the need for a second Emancipation Proclamation. And so we were fortunate to recover that entire document. And so we share that in the spirit of your intellectual curiosity and in the spirit of social work advocacy, seeing it as a document, as an exemplary document of lay social work advocacy. And so next, let me welcome Stacy DeFries, who will help us in our Padlet engagement. Stacy?
Thank you, Kalfani. Welcome, everyone. At this point, I am going to insert a link in the chat for all of you. So if you could just take a moment to click on it. And on this Padlet, it's our electronic card, a space for each of you to leave some reflections for Rachel around congratulations, any pictures that you might have, anything you'd like to add. And we will be giving Rachel this electronic document as an artifact from today. So if you are able to click on it and haven't been able to leave your reflections before today, please take this moment to do so, and let me know if anyone isn't able to click on it and view it. So please take a couple minutes, or at least a minute here or so, to do that if you're able to.
And the good news is, for those still wanting more time with Padlet, the good news is that's not going away. We'll have that certainly how does that work, Stacy? How long do we keep that up?
Thank you, Kalfani. So folks can take the link with them. So if you click on it and bring it with you, you can, come back to it later after today's event. And it's also in the original email if people need to find it later.
Wonderful. Thanks so much again, and thrilled to have folks bring so many different talents to this good work, and so really appreciate Stacy's leadership on that aspect. And so next we move to we continue with our appreciation for our awardee and kind of zero in our focus on Dr. Rachel Wren. I'm glad to welcome back to the speaking circle Kathy Taylor and Carol James. Carol James, one of our colleagues in the Office of Field Education as well, along with Kathy. And I defer to you, good folks, for your leadership. If you'll take us through the next phase of recognizing our awardee, Kathy and Carol.
I will be reading a few excerpts from letters that were written for Dr. Wynn. One says, Dr. Wynn is tireless and unselfish in her commitment to creating a workplace and education that centers the tenets of authentic social work practice and social justice work. She has a clear, unwavering voice and strong commitment to social justice and anti-racism throughout her life. With field education as a signature anagogy of social work education, it became a powerful home for her commitment to social justice and anti-racist work. She is a key support beam in the Office of Field Education's work in bridging students' valuable classroom learning to the practical application of it in the social work profession. Another quote says, within OFE, she is committed to anti-racism teaching, dialogues, and practice. She keeps this at the forefront of OFE work. She has made an unwavering commitment to investing the time in our team meetings for anti-racist education and conversations. She participates in and endorses the time field faculty commit to caucusing. She actively engages in course planning and continues to keep social justice and anti-racism teaching embedded throughout the 524 course curriculum, helping students to see how to put these important learnings into action at practicum and then into their professional careers. This year, she also supported the inclusion of environmental justice education and calls to action in the curriculum, looping in another pressing and critical social justice perspective. The last quote I'll read, Rachel was a leader in examining the field seminar curriculum, recognizing that our approach needed to be more robust and focused on helping students build upon their skills to become anti-racist social justice workers. This resulted in a complete overhaul of the curriculum, which was well received. Upon further examination, we realized it continued to center whiteness. Rachel was responsive and open to hearing the experiences of students and began to work with OFE to redesign the course again. Based on this important feedback, I see Rachel as modeling what she asked her team and what we ask of students, to listen and be responsive.
Rachel also finds time to volunteer in the community. She actively serves on the Washington State Board for Certified Professional Guardians and Conservators, which includes serving on the board's education, regulations, and appeals committees. The board's work focuses on developing, adopting, and implementing regulations governing certification, minimum standards of practice, training, and discipline of professional guardians to protect the public and facilitate the delivery of competent and ethical guardianship services for adults with disabilities, kids, and youth. She keeps her commitment to social and racial justice at the center of her work on this board as well, where she has voiced the importance and value of training and education to put social justice and anti-racist work into action. She has called on the board to create a board diversity, education, and inclusion committee that will advise and assist the board in actively applying this perspective throughout their work. The work she does on this board helps support and protect some of the most marginalized in our communities. That was one. This is another. Dr. Wren is a true ally who not only walks the talk, but also demonstrates exceptional commitment to promoting and practicing diversity, inclusion, equity, and access access within the University School of Social Work community in the various community partnerships of the university. She provides insightful leadership to confront and resolve inequities through strategic planning and decision-making, establishment of priorities, and designing and developing an innovative curriculum weighted heavily on anti-racism and social justice. It is not at all easy to make noise and look for good trouble, necessary trouble, to quote John Lewis. Dr. Wren is aware of hesitancy and efforts made to avoid talking about racism or addressing these issues altogether. These never deterred her, but only seemed to spearhead her efforts. Final one, Rachel is very determined and committed to do whatever she can, especially professionally, to assist UW School of Social Work to think critically and strategically in brainstorming innovative ideas incorporated into our various meetings, and to assist everyone in being aware of issues pertaining to racism, social justice, and diversity. She's very invested in not only our learning, but that of our students as well on anti-racism and social justice issues, assisting faculty to develop confidence and skills to be able to have these difficult but very important conversations among colleagues and students. Rachel, we are truly honored, Kathy and myself, to read this. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kathy and Carol. And at this time, as we bring to the speaking circle the voice of Stan DeMello, I am very, very happy just to share that, of course, the Martin Luther King Commemoration Committee is joined by the School of Social Work Diversity Council and the School of Social Work Dean's Office, as well as the National Association of Social Workers Washington Chapter, and of course the School of Social Work Office of Field Education in affirming the community service of all of our nominees, and especially our awardee, Dr. Rachel Wren. Stan, will you move us forward, please? I believe that you have some family messages and some other offerings in regards to Rachel Wren's awarding and acceptance. Stan DeMello.
Thank you, Kalfani, and thank you everybody who's gone before me. So this is a really special moment for many of the nominees, and especially for Dr. Rachel Wren. As I said in my introductory comments, Dr. Wren is recuperating from a knee surgery and cannot be with us today, but we do have some surprises that we intended for her, but now I think it's a little different that she's not going to be here, but her son, Professor Miller Wren, who is a professor of jazz, no less, will be accepting the award on her behalf, but also joining her to make some comments will be Dr. Emma Wren, her daughter, who works in cancer research, as well as her most beloved husband, attorney at law extraordinaire, Greg Wren, who are all with us today. I do want to take a moment to read you the letter that we received from Rachel when she let us know that she would not be attending this event. And she addressed this to Kalfani, the chair, and myself, and to the committee. And she said, "Thank you so much for creating this wonderful event to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I am so sorry and disappointed that I cannot attend. Could I ask you all to please relay my deepest gratitude for this award? It means so much to me. I cannot believe I'm so fortunate to receive this award. I will strive to meet the expectations of Dr. King. Ultimately, I feel strongly that this award represents moral and ethical obligations that all white people must embrace as we face our role in the colonizing, abdication, torture, and enslavement of over 10 million Black African citizens. I am so sorry that I cannot attend, although this will leave more time for others to speak and, of course, for Kathy Taylor to sing. With gratitude, humility, and deep fondness, Rachel. So with that, I would like to introduce the family. I think we should start with the surprise tribute that we had for Dr. Wren, coming from the musical tribute by none other than the professor of jazz himself, Miller Wren.
Hey, this has been a wonderful experience just to watch so far. I am quite honored to be here honoring my mother and Dr. King, and the fact that those things are happening in the same Zoom meeting is quite meaningful to me. My mother is a beacon of love and has been my whole life, and I learned from her that I just that was the model that I received from her, that there is this love that is possible for everyone to experience, and society has not been built in a way for everyone to experience that love, and that is the responsibility, or that is our responsibility to do our best to change. Yeah, I'm very honored to be here, and was asked to do a musical tribute. And I immediately thought of the piece Alabama by John Coltrane, which was written in the aftermath of the bombing of the Birmingham church that killed Addie Mae Collins, Carol Denise McNair, Cynthia Diane Wesley, Carol Robertson. And a portion of this piece is a transliteration, I guess, of Dr. King's eulogy given at their funeral. This is Alabama.
Thank you, Miller. That was wonderful. Really appreciate that. And I'm sure your mother will appreciate the recording. This is being recorded, so she can play it back at her leisure and watch it with her family. So thank you again. I'll turn it over to Greg and Emma to do their tributes.
Emma, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I really can't follow that beautiful musical tribute that my brother did. But I did just want to say that my mom was genuinely really surprised and touched and humbled to receive this award. She's not a person who's usually comfortable with recognition or praise. But as her daughter, I can say I've seen her especially over the last 2 years, but really her whole life, commit herself fully to this really hard work of being anti-racist and of really trying to make change wherever she can. And I'm, again, just really touched and happy to see that recognized. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Emma. Greg?
Yeah, thank you, Stan. I'm a little emotional, so I'm sorry, but you can tell how meaningful this is. And it's wonderful to see, of course, Stan and all the dear friends, that Rachel has at work today. And it is a tremendous honor. And to hear the children, Stan knows I wasn't sure I'd be able to attend today because Rachel makes sure I work on my pro bono cases. And today it was about keeping an elderly man from getting evicted, but that, fortunately that resolved early. So, but I think you hear from the children, you all know Rachel, and she is so honored and touched by this. And I think the one thing I can share is where some of this came from. And you may not have all known her story. She grew up in Lexington, Kentucky, the daughter of 2 academics at UK. You can imagine being a Jewish girl in Kentucky dating a young Black man in high school. Did not make her the most popular. She lived through the 60s, 70s racism in the South. Her mother, who I think we can, well, her father too. Of course, they were both, her father was Jewish from Boston, her mother from Michigan. Her mother, some of you may have heard, was a great cook, and she would have these large parties with faculty from the University of Kentucky. And as you might imagine in that time, some of the faculty even then might have used a slur inappropriately. And Dorothy would stop the party. She wouldn't just ask somebody to leave. She would stop the party, announce what they said, and show them the door. And that is just an example, I think, of formation, if that's helpful to people, where it is so important that we all learn and teach and practice. And I think you can see this arc of Rachel's life and commitment. But again, it's just a profound honor. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg. And thank you, Emma. And thank you, Miller. And I'm sure as you watch this again with Rachel, when she is better, we have recorded this for you, and you will have that as a gift. And really, you speak so poignantly to where Rachel gets the chutzpah to do the things she does, which we so all love and adore. Thank you, the Wren family.
Wonderful. And thank you so much to the Wrens. Thank you, Stan. And once again, as we turn towards our conclusion, I'm excited that I will be able to welcome to the speaking circle not only Jeremy Arp, who will facilitate our recessional, but he's going to introduce the wonderful reintroduce the wonderful voices of Geneva and Kathy Taylor. So may I say again, please, thanks on behalf of the Martin Luther King Commemoration Committee, and this year, Martin Luther King and Emancipation Commemoration Committee. Thank you to Geraldine Myers, Vanetta Barton, and Jennifer Mclaughlin, our nominees, and to this year's 2022 award recipient, Dr. Rachel Wren. Jeremy Arp, will you take us to the recessional?
I will, Kalfani, and Kalfani and to the rest of the team, the nominations team for the MLK Award. It's been a pleasure working with this team for the last 2 years. It's extremely moving, the award ceremonies that I've seen with the University of Washington. One, the meaningful work that your faculty and staff do in anti-racist efforts, equity, diversity, and inclusion efforts really do set you apart and are improving Washington as a place to live. And I really appreciate, one, the folks that did the nominations, reviewed the nominations, but the people that actually did the work. Fantastic. It makes me proud to be in Washington State. I want to take a moment to of course, invite you all to join NASW, check out the National Association of Social Workers Washington chapter. We have a commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion and anti-racist work, as well as part of our mission nationally, but also at the state level. We want you to help us to do better. So please do check out membership with the association, volunteering for any extracurricular work if you have time, to improve your professional, or to enhance your professional and academic journeys. Yeah, so I want to just thank you all for coming out and introduce Geneva and Kathy Taylor once again, as we do the processional. I think we were calling it the processional. Would be a vocal selection, and I will let them introduce the song. Kathy and Geneva.
Thank you, Jeremy. So my daughter had to go to work, and I failed to also ask her about this song. Sorry. So it will just be me. I'm just going to sing a few stanzas of We Shall Overcome. Very appropriate song that I think commemorates this day. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we are not afraid today. The truth shall set us free. The truth shall set us free. The truth shall set us free someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe the truth shall set us free someday. Last verse. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we'll walk hand in hand someday. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kathy. So is it Golfani? I'm not sure if there is, I think, a few minutes if anybody wants to say anything from the audience or wants to add anything more. I think that's what we have some time here. I see lots of very nice comments in the chat. So if anybody else would like to say anything more in tributes to any of the nominees or to Dr. N, please unmute and feel free to join. And thank you again to the Wren family for showing up for so well for beloved Rachel, and such excellent nominees this year. And just a last note, it's so great that this celebration has moved from what used to be a school-wide celebration to something so important within the school itself, where we honor our own folk from here and make it so meaningful. And Kalfani has done a great job of leading us all in that effort. And thank you, Kalfani. And Kalfani, can you announce then that is all that we are done, unless other people need to or wish to say anything?
Well, thanks, Dan. What I will say again is thanks to our nominees and our awardee. Thanks to all the Martin Luther King Commemoration and Emancipation Commemoration Committee. Thanks to our collaborators, the Diversity Council, the Dean's Office, and National Association of Social Workers, Washington Chapter, of course, the Office of Field Education, and to those of you who took some time out of your Friday morning to close your work week, to open up your weekend. We're thrilled that we could be in your good company. And you chose to be in ours. Let me also say thanks to Brooks and invite Brooks. If you'll bring up just some soft music, we'll be able to hang out for a few minutes, as long as folks would like. That music that you had before was quite rich. I know I'm happy to stay around and just kibitz and enjoy a good Friday morning. Thanks again for this wonderful event, for your time and your talents all, for joining us this morning. Have a wonderful rest of your day, great weekend, wonderful rest of your quarter. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, Kalfani. Thank you, committee. Congratulations.
Yeah, good to see you, Vanetta. Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations, and Geraldine. You're all fabulous. And thank you again, Miller. Emma.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations.
Congrats, Geraldine.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.